Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Merri Biechler. I am a playwright and an actor, and we are very excited to welcome you to this project.
Hi, I'm Shelley Delaney, and I'm an actor, director, new play dramaturg, and a longtime acting teacher and coach.
I'm going to talk just a little bit about how Shelley and I know each other. We were both professionals in theater before coming to Ohio University in 2004 for me and a little bit sooner for Shelley, but we found each other pretty soon after that and started working together, me as a playwright and Shelley as a director and actor. And we have had incredible collaborations over the years. We're also happen to be neighbors in Guysville, Ohio. So if you're ever in Ohio, come see us. And we just thought that working together on this project would be a lot of fun, and we're excited to work with you.
We got drawn into this project that we are incredibly excited about in this wonderful way that I didn't know would happen. And that is, once I started teaching for a long time, it meant that there were alumnus of the programs that we had taught in. Merri taught in playwriting and studied in playwriting. I taught in acting. And Joel Stigliano, who is in Talkeetna, was in one of the first MFA classes I recruited. He got his MFA in acting from Ohio University in 2012. And then a few years back, working professionally, he met Katie Pankow, who is the education director at Denali. And after they had spent one summer in Alaska, they were like, come to Alaska. And we said, yes, we will. And of course, the phrase we've all repeated too many times is, and then COVID happened. And so this loose project was postponed until this summer when Katie and Joel said, come to Alaska. And we went, yeah, and booked tickets.
Yes.
So we are, as we've been booking tickets, the train, the plane, all of those things, we've gotten more and more excited and planned more and more specifically. I will say for both of us that neither of us has been to Alaska. So part of the draw was, let's collaborate with whole new people and see what happens. People we have never shared time and space with before. And part of it was just like, Alaska. Merri?
Yeah. And I think also we understand from Joel and Katie that there is a wonderful artist base in the Denali area. And so that was super exciting to us. It wasn't just about, oh, you all have tourists coming through who might be interested in a workshop on Shakespeare or a workshop on writing, but the artists who are in the area, that really excited us. And to be honest, we don't know how many of you there are. We don't know whether we will start off with a small number and word of mouth will grow, or we start with a number and then word of mouth and get smaller. I hope that's not what happens. But we're so excited to come and do some work in a different space. And we want to hear about your space and we want to hear about your lives. And that is what is super exciting about this for us. So part of what we do here at Ohio University within the MFA in playwriting is a thing called Midnight Madness. And Midnight Madness is something that traditionally happened every Friday night at 11 o'clock. On Monday at noon, one of the playwrights would be the producer for that week. They would create a prompt for the week, and then they would produce a show that went up script in hand every Friday night at 11 o'clock. What each playwright had to do was write a 3 to 5 minute play based on this prompt. Now, it can be, when we say based on a prompt, it is inspired by. It certainly doesn't have to be something very realistic even. It can definitely include metaphor. It could be something that's absurd. It could be something that it just sparks your imagination. So what we got excited about when Katie suggested MileMarker237 was that it's about you all in this place. It could be, again, psychological space. It could be geographical or geological space. It could be location. It could be purpose. It could be what keeps you here or what excites you. And then when we talk about a prompt and we decided on Fireweed, the idea is that, again, this is just a jumping off point. And when we think about fireweed being the thing that grows back first after a fire, what does that inspire you to do? How does that speak to you? It may be that there is something in the back of your mind that you've always wanted to write about. And it could be an experience that you craft to this. It could also be something whole cloth new that you are inspired by actually just that word. And that's what's exciting about this kind of writing process, is that you all, even though you say you're not playwrights, you are. You are going to write about your experience or something completely made up that inspire you about this prompt.
And as when I came to OU, I was principally an actor, and the idea that someone would have said to me that I was writing something would have terrified me. And after countless times appearing in madnesses with book in hand, or witnessing madnesses, or occasionally even directing a madness, I often went, oh, I can do this. Because it really was, it is instinctive, impulsive writing, releasing. So I want to go over a couple of logistics, and then we'll get back to the whole writing thing, the what, the how, and how that leads into acting and performance, for want of a better word. So logistically, Merri and I will share our email contact, and that is so that as you start to generate writing, and we encourage you to start to generate your writing, as soon as you have an impulse, as soon as you have a thought, just even on a busy day, make a note, jot it down, just start writing, phrase, whole speech, whatever it is, let it out of you as soon as it happens. And we're hoping, or at least encouraging you, to reach out to both of us or one of us and say, here's what I got so far. What do you think? And we'll talk a little bit. Well, Merri, why don't you talk a little bit more about how you and I, or you and I together might respond to that.
Right. So again, you don't have to worry about, are you a professional playwright? It doesn't matter. This is about you telling a short piece of work. It has a beginning, middle, and end, usually. And it is about something that has inspired you from this prompt. So don't feel that, especially in the beginning, it has to be something fully thought out. That is not the case at all. It can be something that starts with a phrase. It could be something that you may want to share with us to say, like, am I on the right track? And of course, we're going to say pretty much always yes, because we can't know sort of where you're going to be going until you start to put things down and start to think about how you want to explore this. And it may change a lot. But basically, we are looking for something that's going to run 3 to 5 minutes. It can be a monologue, which is something that you're just speaking. It can be a scene with 2 or more people. You don't have to perform your own piece. And Shelley's going to talk about that in a sec. So don't feel like, oh gosh, I've got this wonderful idea, but I don't feel confident acting. We're not worried about that. This is about putting down on paper something that sparks an idea that you want to communicate to the audience, that this is something that you want to share because it is your specific point of view, that you want to share because it is something that you have questions about, that you want others to have questions about. It can be a conversation starter. It can be about, this is something I've always wondered. And then it can also be very personal. It can be about you. It can be exactly about why you're here, about why you're an artist in the Denali area. And we're not going to limit it by that at all.
And we're not here certainly at all while we're communicating via email or in any other way we communicate to be critical. We're here to ask questions, for you to say, this is what I'm questioning, and we'll answer that specifically. So we're happy to respond. We're happy to say, oh, this is what I see. This is what I hear in what you've written. And you might say, oh, no, that's not my intention at all. Or you might say, okay, great. That encourages me. And it's just about if and how your piece might evolve. That's what this period, when we're in communication that is not live in personal space in Denali, is. How might this evolve? What's next? Which is why you can reach out with 4 sentences or not 4 pages, more concise than that. So we're here to guide, maybe prod a little, but certainly not to say no.
Yeah. There will be no criticism. There will be, that's not how we work. And it's not going to be about, this isn't quite right. It will be more about asking questions. It will be more about what I'm hearing here. Is that what you meant? That kind of thing.
We're also really capable as theater artists of having a critical eye. And if that's what you want, ask for it. If there's a moment, especially when we're working together, where we'll create a community that feels safe for all of us to take risks, to be like, just help me out here. We're happy to do that. But the evolution process needs to be, I think, more supportive than that and plays better into our natures. We talked a lot about that in order to say what would be awesome for us and probably helpful for you, so that there's never a time crunch, is if each of you who are participating, who are eager to do some writing, intend to do some writing, and we hope that's all of you, to have something either that you have shared with us or not by June 18th, because we would like to do a group Zoom meeting for everyone who is available at 4 p.m. your time on June 18th. We could meet as late as 5 o'clock your time, if that were better. That's something we can collectively decide. It's just that we're 5 hours east and we're working people. So staying up much past 11 on a Zoom isn't the most constructive thing we can do. And we might not be as helpful as we might be otherwise. So collecting materials at any point, meeting in a group on Zoom. In that Zoom meeting on the 18th, for everyone who can come, we would love to hear your work aloud.
Yeah.
If you do not feel comfortable reading your work aloud, you can pass it off to one of your colleagues. You are likely to know some of the people that are in this group with you. Merri or I have both acted, as we said. We could read it for you. We could read it with each other. If it's dialogue, you can pass it off to someone on that day, but it would be great if we all started to hear each other, so we start to see and own as a group a collective thread and go, oh, this is how that works. If you are not yet in a place where you feel like you can share, we have ample time before we arrive in Denali for you to get your work to a point where you want to, but I encourage you to share early and often, so that we lose our self-consciousness about using our own voices. The other thing that we'll sort out when we get there is whether or not it's comfortable being memorized. You may have worked on a piece that's very personal that you know by the time we arrive in Denali. You may, with a dialogue, know that you don't want to do it and we would cast it once we got there, or maybe we could cast it on the 18th. You might memorize, you might not memorize, you might do your own work. The work will be shared with other people. Ultimately, when we are in Denali, we will be co-leading everything. Merri and I will be in both rooms, both together in all rooms all the time. I will lead most of the stuff that leans in and leads toward performance as a longtime director and acting teacher. So I will start to wanna, with you, shape and guide into something that feels wholly organic, but contained as a piece of theater, an evening of theater. The great thing about this Midnight Madness was whatever that strange prompt and thread was, it always ended up feeling like something complete, something whole had happened, because in this case, loosely, Fireweed, there's some thread, and it might be the color, it might be its resilience, it might be your emotional response to it. Anyway, to bring it into something cohesive won't be that hard, but it will take organizational skills, and it might mean that a piece gets broken up if the writer is comfortable with it. We're going to do half at the beginning and half at the end because it's a perfect bookend for telling the story. So being able to work from June 18th with an idea of where that might be going means that the 12 hours that we are gathering prior to a performance, which seems so little right now, we are able to really use our time well. In that time, I tend to like to work both as an actor, but also as a director, and especially when the work is being built, being devised, as much on our feet as we can. So how do you physicalize text? And my hope is that any acting exercises I introduce, and I'd love to just do some exercises where we get to know each other in the room, where you can share other material even if you want, that it's stuff that's not just applicable to how we morph into a performance with this, but applicable to any other acting or arguably writing that you do. I used to teach acting to the filmmakers too, who were always like, it changed everything about the way they perceived character. At least that's what they kindly said. So it'll be both text related and probably very physical work. And yeah, as I said, memorization will be up to you, but I'll encourage you, just because I think it's part of the deal sometimes. But if there's book in hand on the performance nights, that's just dandy. Madness was on the book in hand because the actors had it for about 45 minutes, usually, or an hour. And be like, here you go. Want to be in my madness? Yeah, I'm playing a squirrel. So, and I'm now playing a 4-year-old squirrel. So memorization is by no means necessary. What else do we have, Merri?
Yeah, I think that's about it. Again, we are so excited. Oh, I did think of one thing. I know what you're going to ask me. Does it have to be a play? Can it be prose? Can it be poetry? Heck yeah. Bring what you got. Bring what you write. Bring what you love. And we'll figure it out. I don't want you to feel like, oh, because this isn't dialogue. It's not a play. Bring it. Send it. We're going to respond to what you have on the page, whether or not it's exactly. And also don't worry about formatting. Just get it down on paper.
Yeah. And we'll be in Denali on late. We'll come in on the train later in the day on the 17th. And we leave on the 31st. And the education department and Katie will share the times that are, I think, booked in now. They were penciled in of when we're going to work. And we've got mostly 2-hour blocks of time. And I think we've got one awesome 4-hour block of time. And we absolutely, of course, also understand you all have lives and jobs, and in whatever way we need to accommodate a late arrival or an early leaving, we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah. So we're going to stop recording here in a second. You will have our email addresses. We want to see material early and often. We will respond to that. And we look forward to meeting you all on Zoom on June 18th.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, so excited. Okay. I'm going to stop saying that now. Okay. See you soon.